What if your child didn't just disappear, but returned as something else entirely? A presence wearing their face, but not their soul. This is Lee Cronin's The Mummy, 2026, and this is not the mummy you remember. No ancient adventure, no treasure hunt, no heroic explorers. This is something far darker, something personal, something that tears a family apart from the inside. We begin in Cairo. Charlie Cannon is an American journalist working overseas. His wife, Larissa, is a nurse, and together they are raising 2 children far from home. Their life seems normal, almost peaceful, but something is wrong. Their youngest daughter, Katie, has made a new friend, a strange woman nearby, too friendly, too interested, too close. And no one notices the danger coming until it's too late. One afternoon, everything changes. A sandstorm rolls in, the sky turns black, and in the chaos, Katie disappears. Just like that. No trace, no clues, nothing. Charlie runs through the storm calling her name, but the desert swallows every sound. And when the storm finally ends, Katie is gone. The authorities investigate, but instead of answers, they blame the parents. And then comes the silence. 8 long years pass. 8 years of grief. 8 years of guilt. 8 years of emptiness. But the nightmare is not over, because one day, a call comes from Egypt. Something impossible has been found. A sarcophagus inside a crashed plane, and inside it, Katie, alive. But what returns home is not the same child, and this is where everything begins to change. Charlie and Larissa rush back to Egypt, and there they see her, Katie, or what is left of her. Her body is weak, her skin damaged, her eyes distant, hollow. She barely speaks, she barely moves, but she is alive, and the doctors insist she can go home. Against all logic, they agree, and they bring her back to Albuquerque. At first, they believe it's a miracle, a second chance. But that illusion breaks fast, because Katie is not recovering. She is changing. At night, she screams in her sleep. During the day, she stares at walls like she's listening to something no one else can hear. And then the physical signs begin. Her skin tears. Her body twists in unnatural ways. She vomits strange black fluid that burns anything it touches. And yet, her parents refuse to accept the truth. She's just traumatized, they say. She'll get better. But she doesn't. She gets worse. Strange things begin happening in the house. Animals react to her presence. Objects move when she walks by. And her family starts turning on each other without explanation. Something is inside her. Something old. Something buried. And it is waking up. Detective Dalia Zaki in Egypt is still investigating the case, and she begins to uncover fragments of truth. But every answer leads to more questions, because Katie's disappearance was not random. It was planned, and whatever took her is still not finished. But what happens next changes everything, because Katie is no longer just a victim. She is becoming something else. Back in the Cannons' home, things reach a breaking point. Katie's behavior becomes violent, unpredictable, terrifying. She lashes out at her grandmother, Carmen. She isolates her siblings, and she begins speaking in a voice that is not her own. Charlie finally starts investigating, and what he discovers changes everything. Ancient markings, hidden language on the wrappings that once held Katie, a curse, a containment ritual, something designed to trap an entity known only as the destroyer of families. And suddenly, the truth begins to form. Katie was never just kidnapped. She was chosen, used as a vessel, a container for something ancient, something that feeds on emotional collapse. It doesn't just kill people, it destroys what makes them human first. Meanwhile, Detective Dalia uncovers the missing piece in Egypt. A cult, a ritual, and a horrifying method of transferring a supernatural force from one host to another. Katie was never meant to return, but something went wrong. Or maybe something followed her back. In the house, reality breaks down completely. Katie is now fully unstable. Telekinetic events begin. Walls crack, lights explode. Family members turn on each other under unseen influence. And Charlie realizes the truth too late. This is no longer about saving his daughter. It's about stopping what she has become. But there is one final secret. Katie is not the only vessel. There are others, and the curse is spreading. And just when they think it can't get worse, it does. Because the family is now trapped inside the curse's full activation, and escape is no longer possible. By the time the final act begins, the situation inside the Cannon household is completely out of control. Katie is no longer just possessed in a simple sense. She has become the living vessel of the ancient entity known as the Destroyer of Families, a force designed not to kill quickly, but to collapse relationships from the inside out. And that's exactly what it has done. The final stretch takes place almost entirely inside the family home in Albuquerque, but it no longer behaves like a normal house. Doors slam on their own, objects move without touch, rooms feel wrong, like reality is bending inward. Katie is at the center of it. She is now fully transformed, physically and spiritually. Her body is no longer stable. She shifts between moments of human vulnerability and violent, inhuman power. But the key detail is this: Katie is not controlling it anymore. Something else is using her completely. The entity's real goal is finally revealed in action. It doesn't just attack bodies, it attacks trust. It forces paranoia between family members. Charlie becomes convinced Larissa is hiding things. Larissa believes Charlie's decisions caused everything. The children become emotionally and psychologically unstable. Even Carmen, the grandmother, becomes a target of violent supernatural influence. The curse is essentially doing what it was designed to do, turning love into suspicion, turning protection into fear, turning a family into enemies. This is the real mummification theme, not preservation, but emotional decay. Detective Dahlia Zaki finally reaches the house after uncovering the truth in Egypt. She now understands. Katie was used as a vessel. The cult attempted containment, not rescue. The entity spreads through emotional breakdown. But when she arrives, it's already fully active. There is no investigation left, only survival. And even that is slipping away. The most important turning point happens when Katie fully opens. This is not a traditional possession moment. It is more like a release. The entity inside her finally stops hiding. Katie's body becomes unstable. Sudden strength bursts, unnatural movement, moments of emotional emptiness followed by rage, speech that no longer feels human. At this point, she is no longer the victim. She is the core source of the curse in physical form. Charlie realizes something devastating. There is no way to save Katie in a normal sense. The entity cannot be killed without consequence. It will simply spread or return. So he makes a final choice. He decides to become the new vessel, not as defeat, but as containment. This is where the ending becomes unsettling. Charlie is still alive, but he is no longer fully himself. We understand. The entity did not die. It simply changed hosts. Charlie is now the new mummy, not undead in the traditional sense, but a living containment vessel for something ancient and intelligent. He is aware, but not fully in control. And that is far worse. The ending reveals the true theme of the film. This is not a story about resurrection. It is a story about emotional infection. The entity represents unresolved grief, trauma that spreads through families, the way pain reshapes relationships over time. That's why it is called the Destroyer of Families. It doesn't just possess people, it turns love into collapse. In the final moments, Katie survives but is changed forever. The family is physically intact but emotionally shattered. Charlie is alive but now a silent prison for the entity. And somewhere inside him, the curse is still awake, waiting, listening. The ending is not about victory or defeat. It's about containment without resolution. The horror doesn't end, it just moves. And that's what makes Lee Cronin's The Mummy such a bleak reinterpretation of the myth. The mummy is not in a tomb anymore, it is inside a family.